I wanted to get, coming right on the heels of last night's debate, I had a quick question regarding that. There seemed to be an awful lot of hard and important questions being asked, some dodging and ducking and misdirection that was going on. A lot of time spent leveling criticism at other candidates' positions on stage. And I'm really concerned about the potential for conflict in Iran and looking for straight answers with regard to that issue, and didn't hear a lot of them last night. Is this whole fear of providing the Republicans with talking points greater than a straight answer? It seems to me that it is. Am I wrong?
Well, here's what I have a view about this. I think that this is an issue on which I have a huge disagreement with Senator Clinton. I think that if you watch Bush's and Cheney's saber rattling on Iran, it sounds very similar to what we heard in the lead up to Iraq. And my fear has been all along that they're on a steady march toward the possibility of war in Iran. And I think the Senate had a chance to say something about this in that resolution about the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and I think that is the first step of giving them the authority to move on Iran. Senator Dodd and Senator Biden did the right thing, in my judgment, and stood up to the president. Senator Clinton did not and voted yes. And she was standing next to me last night. I listened to her answer. I still don't have any idea what she'll do on Iran. But that was a very troublesome position. And you all may have seen the story in the Times a few days later, trying to explain why she did it. And basically, the story said she was moving from primary mode to general election mode. You know, if somebody's going to move on an issue like war and Iran, I think that it should make people very nervous.
With all due respect, Senator, this is about you, not about her. Last January, you said all options should be on the table. Mm-hmm. Does that include military action?
Any president of the United States who ever said that they would take an option off the table would be irresponsible. That doesn't mean that's what we should do. What we should do is, in my judgment, and I'm going to go back, I'm going to finish on Hillary. You tried to get me off of it because I think it matters. I think this is a distinction that's important. And that distinction is that we had an opportunity to say to Bush, we're going to stop you cold in your tracks. And it didn't happen. And she is seeking the nomination of my party. And so I think the point here is that if you've learned the lesson from the vote on Iraq, and I learned it the hard way, then you know that you cannot trust Bush and Cheney, and they have to be stopped. And they have now taken the next step and declared the Iranian Revolutionary Guard a terrorist organization. Unprecedented, by the way. And second, they have declared them a proliferator of weapons of mass destruction. To me, that is a very clear sign of where they're headed. And I think they have to be stopped. So that's my view. I think there's a very big difference between us. I think there's a clear path on what we ought to be doing on Iran. And I think that path, which has not been done, I think that path is to drive a wedge between a radical leader, Ahmadinejad, and a group of moderate people within Iran who actually rallied on the streets of Tehran after September the 11th on behalf of America, in support of America. I mean, they had an opportunity, and they did it. And I think what we want to do, and it's really important, I think, for us to understand, instead of thinking of Iran as monolithic, any more than somebody could think of America as monolithic. They're not. We're not. And he's become politically unstable in his own country, Ahmadinejad, because their economy is in shambles. And he was elected to reform the economy. So the reason that matters to us is because we being us and our friends in Europe, particularly the European banking system, have the ability, we don't have much economic leverage, but they do, working with them to put a proposal of what I would call sticks and carrots on the table. And the carrots, which need to be more serious, should be you give up your proliferation ambitions, and we will help you with your economy in a serious way. And the flip side is, if you don't, there are going to be serious sanctions in response. But if I can step back from this and put it in a larger context, which I think is really important, it's natural and easy to be focused on Iraq and Iran. Totally understandable given what's happening in the world today. The answer on nuclear weapons is not an ad hoc response to every time some country's trying to develop nuclear weapons. I mean, A.Q. Khan has proliferated this technology, and we don't know where all he's done it. That's the truth. And Pakistan is an enormous threat, and that was brought up again last night. But here's an unstable leader, Musharraf, in a country with a clearly radical element. And they have a nuclear weapon. They're not developing it, they have it. And they could give it to somebody else, they could use it themselves. Here's my point. The answer here is for the next president, which I intend to do, is to lead an international effort to rid the world of nuclear weapons. That's what needs to be done.
That would be ours too?
Huh?
Ours too.
Everybody's. Yes, sir. Everybody's. Because we cannot control the spread of nuclear weapons. It is a fantasy. We are no longer in a situation of mutual deterrence with the Soviet Union. I mean, this technology has been spread around the world. Other countries are developing it. The countries that are unstable, like Pakistan, have it. The answer here is not on an ad hoc basis to try to control it, although that's what we have to do in the short term. In the long term, the answer is to actually lead an effort to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And of course that has to include ours.